Here we go straight away. Thanks for joining us once again. This is the Ready, Set, Live podcast where we're focusing on developing and fulfilling your potential as a human being on planet Earth. It's an exciting and strange time to be alive, but we're having this podcast as a reminder for what's possible in your life. And I'm your host. I'm Captain Rex Witkamp. Today I have a special guest. I always have special guests on my show. I'm always honored to learn and share what it is that the insight that my guests can bring. And you're lucky to have this time with us today. So my guest today is a South Florida native, born and bled, right? And he is developing a passion for photography and video after a lifelong entrepreneurial spirit that has led him into the videography and photography background. He films and has a portfolio of many different industries to include marine, automotive, nature, corporate photos, and even the food industries. Very talented individual with a staff that he works with and consults, but he also is involved on another front with nonprofits and helping out the Bahamas, Lend a Hand Bahamas Foundation, which is an honorable charity that is going to help the families in need in the Bahamas after the destructive storm of Hurricane Dorian, and also is involved with a charity called the Marine Education Initiative, and I'll let him elaborate on that. But I want you to welcome to the show, Johnathan Neito is with us today. Hey, John, thanks for joining us.
How you doing, Rex?
Fantastic. I really want to say thanks for your time. I know with so many things, irons in the fire, if you will, you're a busy man and everybody's really busy. So the time that you can spend with us is really appreciated. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So for my listeners that have never heard of your company or those nonprofits, and a little bit about John, just give us some insight. Who are you, John, and what do you do? And tell us a little bit of background about yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm a born and raised proud South Floridian. Love fishing. I love, I've always had a passion for fishing, always had a passion for business as well. One of the things that's one of the things that's definitely driven me, as even from the beginning as a child. Always been around business-oriented people. Always been very, very entrepreneurial, even as a young child. So, as you mentioned earlier, we do video and media. We do photography. We work very closely in the marine industry. And one of the things that we also do as well is we are in the marketing and advertising space as well. So we not only create videos and photos for companies, but we also help them manage that content and distribute it to the right people. I think that's the most important part, is to be able to create amazing content, but if nobody sees it, that's a problem. You definitely want people to see it. So our job is to create amazing content that the right people get to see. So that's what we're happy doing.
That's awesome. And that's a great background. So thank you for that. And it is important. I mean, you can have the best marketing in the world, but if you can't show it to the right audience, it's sitting like a pencil in a drawer and it's just going to remain there, ineffective at best. So I'm happy to introduce our show topics today. And I know we briefly talked about it, but this is so important. We're in a place in the world where we've never been. There's 50 million people out of work in the United States, tens of millions more around the world. And we don't know how long the situation may last. People are anxious. People are, having fights, and they're just, if you look at the TV, I try not to watch TV, by the way. It's crazy out there. It is madness. And so developing your purpose, developing your passion, fulfilling the commitment to yourself is very important right now. And we hope at best to pour into people and let them know that now is the time to be able to focus on themselves by developing their purpose. And from your background, I want to get your insight on what I've called the 5 tenets. Okay. A tenet is a core belief. It is a core value that people find true about, a company or an organization, but we're talking about you as an individual, not you, but our audience, everyone themselves, taking a look in the mirror and taking stock at what we have and determining what is it that we value to be true and how can we get to the next level. Everybody's trying to get to the next level in life, whether it be a weight loss goal, which is coming up really quick for everybody at the beginning of the year, right? Their New Year's resolution, everybody's going to lose weight and it's gym season. And then what happens 15 days later? Nobody goes to the gym. So, we're talking about the 5 tenets, right? Rising above mediocrity, elevating your standards. We're talking about visualizing the best version of yourself, we're talking about living up to your highest potential, and we're talking about giving purpose. Why do that? Why give purpose to somebody's potential? And it's like you said, great advertising and marketing does nothing if you don't deliver it. And so we need to focus on delivering our purpose to the world. And this is what I hope you can share some insight. So let's take it from the top. John, when we talk about rising above mediocrity, in your long experience, right, with your companies and all of your efforts and all of your nonprofits, why was it important to set that tone for yourself?
So here's one thing I learned, and I'll speak from personal experience here. First of all, you gotta love what you do. Okay, it's very important that anything that you're putting your time and energy in, it's got to be behind something you love to do, right? And you're not going to be great at something you hate doing. And even if you are, when it gets challenged, when you're challenged, when things get challenging, eventually you're just not going to have the willpower to be able to continue. I personally went through that in business. I got into so many businesses that I just didn't love doing. And ultimately I burned out. I burned out because, again, like I said, we're challenged many times. A lot of times you're challenged in business, and if you don't love what you're doing, you're not going to do it for long. So in terms of mediocrity, I think it's in business, there's a lot of commercials coming out right now, just okay isn't okay. And I believe that, you have to be the best at what you do. You have to stand out, especially from a marketing perspective. You don't want to be like everyone else, right? Because there's too many cookie cutter type systems, too many cookie cutter type companies. They all do the same thing. But I think the most important thing is to show how you stand out from everyone else. And the way you do that is by being an outstanding individual, being an outstanding company, having an outstanding team. Those things are very important. So to me, if you want to stand out, you got to be the best at what you do. Definitely, you got to have obviously good marketing behind that. But you always have to put your best effort. That doesn't necessarily mean work harder than everyone else. A lot of people get confused with the difference between working hard and working smart. It's not about getting to the point where you burn out. To become great, you really just have to make sure that you're putting the right kind of energy behind your efforts.
That is so true, and I know that what you have said is going to speak right to a lot of the entrepreneurs that listen to my show and follow the content. And General George Patton was quoted by saying, "Anyone in any walk of life that is content with mediocrity is untrue to himself." And it's what you said, where you have to love what you do, and if you don't love what you do, it's in a way you're being untrue to who you really are. And if you ask people, "Who are you?" they just tell you what they do. And it's sort of a trick question. I like to ask people, tell me about yourself. And then they say, well, I do this and I do that and I'm a this and I that. I'm like, well, that's what you do. It's not who you are, right? So rising above mediocrity means defining what it is that who you are and then absolutely rising to the next level. And then that brings us to our next topic, which is, elevating your standards. Things don't change unless people elevate the standards that they demand from themselves. How is that? Obviously, you've come to a level of success in your efforts and in your nonprofits and with your companies. How has that philosophy served you as far as like maybe your mindset?
So I'll give you a perfect example. I went through difficult times, which I'm not going to get too much into now, but I went through very difficult times in my life. And I realized that we really get what we tolerate out of life. Okay. And if you have low standards, that's what you're gonna get in life. So here's the thing: who we are on the outside, the way we live, the way we are, what the world sees is a complete reflection of who we are inside. And if your standards are higher than anyone else's, you're gonna reach higher results than anyone else. And one of the things that I always like to do is I like to set certain goals, set specific goals that challenge me. Not easy goals, because not something that I know I can get, something that's going to force me to stretch, right? Yeah. Our best work doesn't lie within our comfort zone; it lies outside of it. And when we challenge ourselves to continue raising the bar, that's the best thing we can do for ourselves. It's I remember something that Jordan used to talk about, and if you're a sports fan, you'll probably resonate with this. And this is exactly how I am with myself. I'm never in competition with anyone else. I'm always in competition with myself. And that's the one thing that you got to remember. You're not competing with, you can't control any outside circumstance. You can only control, the standards that you set for yourself. You can only control who you are. So I would suggest, don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about how you can improve yourself and raise your own standards so you can live an outstanding life.
That's amazing. And it's so true. And I remember Michael Jordan saying that, and it was something to the effect of competing who he was yesterday. So it's a daily process. And I mean, it's the point where you have to raise your standards to exceed your own expectations. Most people live in the comfort zone, right? And that's 97% of people live in the comfort zone, and only 3% live in the effective zone. And the difference between the two is growth. And like you said, people love being comfortable, but growth is uncomfortable. That's why the majority live in that zone. So that's an amazing way to put it. And I appreciate your efforts to answer us on that and shed some light. And it's just so true. Nothing will change unless we change our standards. So the first two here have been just an active admittance of what the situation is and maybe reaching for the next level. But this third topic is one of my favorites. It's talking about visualizing the best versions of ourselves. Now, this is an active process that takes mental focus. It takes mental conditioning and work to actually visualize something. Can you give us an example or maybe shed some light on why is it important that people just, sit in a corner and daydream the best versions of themselves? It would seem like it's unproductive just sitting there thinking instead of actually, going out to do something.
Yeah, so I love this question because that's one of the things that I learned to practice when I made these huge strides in success, right? One of the things that helped me is to visualize a greater outcome, right? Where did I want to be? Okay, so one of the things that I tell people is that whatever it is that you want, imagine that. Imagine it, visualize it. Why? Because you want to make a habit of doing it because really your subconscious mind, it really can't tell the difference between what it is that you're imagining and what it is that you're seeing in reality. So when you visualize and you see, what it would be like and you feel what it is that living that particular experience, your mind automatically starts working on attracting more of those experiences into your life. That's just, our subconscious is constantly working for us. Okay. So, I always tell people, don't be afraid to dream big, dream really big, as bigger than you can imagine. It doesn't matter. Even if it's just for in a dream today, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you can visualize, if you can see it, it'll help you get there. So I remember Albert Einstein. One of the quotes Albert Einstein says is that imagination is a preview of life's coming attractions. And at the end of the day, our thoughts, what we think, becomes magnetic. So we attract these experiences into our lives when we can not only just see it, but experience it as if we were there. So I use those techniques. Honestly, I still to this day, morning and night, I'm constantly visualizing what the next level of success is for me. Whether that's having a huge yacht or whether that's having a huge house, I may not be able to afford it right now. The money may not be in my hand, but eventually it will be. So it's just a matter of keeping the vision strong.
It takes action and it takes courage. It takes
100%.
a process to visualize. Because it happens in stages. Visualization comes first, and then realization comes second, and then after that, and finally is materialization. It will materialize if you visualize it first, but everything in the world, and we were talking about this earlier, every product, every car, every plane, boat, house, everything has a blueprint in somebody's mind before it hit the paper, before it became, a product on an assembly line, before it came to the stores and somebody bought it and enjoyed it. It was in somebody's mind first. Take that end product and make it your massive success in life and develop it in your mind. And then take action steps towards your goals, and it will soon become reality.
It's definitely one of the principles of success for sure.
Exactly. I've heard some of our mentors talk about, they didn't, they used to go around driving and listening to their cars. I'm a millionaire. I'm gonna be a millionaire. I am a millionaire. They, driving around listening to self-development, drive time university, whatever. And people got their stereos up loud and focusing on the here and now. But, you have to do the things today that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have. And visualization is the key to get you to the next level, because it has to exist in your mind first. So that's an awesome way to put it. We're gonna keep plugging along here, and thanks for your time, by the way. I know you're really busy. And so I really think so. And I want to thank, just right now, I want to thank my listeners and my viewers that may have found our channels. Afterwards, I'm going to put some links above and below the description here or on the medias, and we'll have all the links in there for everybody's websites and medias and all like that. But so thanks a lot for listening, and tune back in, because this next step is an actual process that once you're visualized, right, and you see that in your mind, now what do you do? You go ahead and you start taking action steps towards living your highest potential. So everybody has potential. I think, John, you're like me. You realize that everybody has a gift, right? And everybody has a purpose, a potential. So can you talk to us a little bit about why is it important that people live their highest potential? What if people don't do that?
I'll tell you one of the things that had a huge shift in the way I viewed income and the way that I viewed, my purpose. I struggled, probably like many other people, I struggled to understand what my purpose was in life, right? I think a lot of us go through that, especially people that, feel like they're stuck, people that feel like, they're not doing what they love. So one of the questions that I've asked myself, and I've asked my friends and my loved ones that, have felt this way: if money was guaranteed, if you were guaranteed $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, whatever amount of money that makes you happy, if you were guaranteed that money to do anything that you wanted to do in life, what would you do?
Yeah.
So I asked myself, I asked myself that question. I've asked several people that question, and it's almost like turning on a light switch. Like, wow, I never really thought about that. Yeah, I would do this. I would do that. I do that. And I think you have to be realistic, of course. You definitely do have to be realistic, but at the same time, you have to see if someone else is doing it and they're making money doing it, what's stopping you from doing it?
Yeah.
Really, ultimately, it's yourself. So at the end of the day, you are the only one that's stopping yourself from achieving anything you want. I think Les Brown was the one that said, life's only limitations are the only ones that we acknowledge. And, if we think we can't do it, we're not going to be able to do it. But if we think we can, we definitely will. We're able to, at least. Yeah, so, you gotta have faith.
Henry Ford quote that says, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right, yeah.
You're right. And I love the fact that we can trick our subconscious. That is,
yeah,
that's
a hack.
You know what I mean? It's fun to understand that whatever you tell your subconscious, your mind will start pushing you that direction. Why not dream big? Why not have those massive ideas of success? And people need to realize that there's more. You have to be unsatisfied with your current situation in order to get to and that's why leaders, they don't get comfortable. They get uncomfortable because they moving forwards. And, we have the potential to be anything we want in our lives. We just got to get past those limiting beliefs and all the societal norms that tell us we can't. Years and years of comprehensive societal programming has beat us down to believe something about ourselves that isn't true. Our potential lies between what is and what could be. And sometimes it takes somebody else to say, you know what, you're better than this. That's why you got to surround yourself with quality people that believe and have your best interest,
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. If I can just chime into that. My grandmother, when I was a kid, used to tell me, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. And I believe that so much, so true. That we underestimate the kind of people we hang around with, the people that we surround ourselves with. And they have such a massive influence in how we act, what we do, the habits we pick up. We're the average of the 5 people we hang around with. And your income, I can guarantee you, is within $1,000 to $3,000 of those 5 people that you hang around with. So, I always preach about upgrade your peer group. Surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, because there's a lot of negative influences out there that, you may not realize it, but it's working on your subconscious as well. feeding you negative thoughts or just, you need to be around people that motivate you to succeed. You need to be around people that, are constantly talking about business or good health or developing good habits. Those things help you get to that next level that we were talking about. That helps you get out of mediocrity. That helps you elevate your standards. So the people you're around, I think honestly, it's one of the biggest parts of it is being around the right kind of people. Because if you're around the wrong kind of people, you're going to be the wrong kind of person.
I gave a talk one time, and I had the illustration of a bald eagle, and it's a massively grand animal. Like everybody they stop and take pictures, or point it out, because everybody loves to see a bald eagle because it's just a majestic animal. But I had a picture of a baby bald eagle, and the bald eagle was around a bunch of other baby chickens. And what if this eagle was taken from its nest and put around chickens, regular, ordinary field chickens, and it lived its whole life believing and thinking that it was a chicken, until one day it looked at itself and was like, wait a minute, I am not like you guys. I am not, look at me. I have large wings. I have incredible vision, a big beak and claws and just all the features. And at some point, the eagle takes stock in itself and realizes there's a way to rise above this, but I have to elevate my standards. I have to stop hanging around these chickens. Chickens and hens are everywhere in life. But if you want to be an eagle, you have to first admit that you are, because everybody, I believe, is, but only some of us will admit that. Your friends have everything to do with your success.
It's funny you said that. I heard something not too long ago. It's true, but this is true. Birds of a feather flock together, but an eagle flies alone.
Did you know the eagle is the only bird that can consummate its relationship with the other bird in mid-flight? They're so good.
Yeah. While they're in descent. Yeah, I saw that.
Thunderstorm. I mean, it's an incredible. Awesome. So, I mean, but in the end, a bird can only be a bird, right? And a dog can only be a dog, and a cat can only be a cat, and a tree can only be a tree. But human beings have the power of potential. They have unlimited potential within them already. They don't need finances. They don't need energy and motivation and some things that may seem, well, they need energy and motivation, but they don't need a massive college degree or education. Some of these things that people limit their beliefs, they're not necessary in life. They just have to have the belief within themselves, and then everything else really just falls into place. So
yeah, I think a lot of people, it's good you said that. I think a lot of people confuse, that education for the value that they bring to the marketplace. Education is important. It definitely is. They're not to knock that, but you definitely got to have some sort of knowledge in anything that you do, 100%. One of the things that I learned, though, is that specialized knowledge is cheap. I think, Elon Musk said something the other day that was kind of funny, but true at the same time. He was asked about his college degree or something like that, and he said, I didn't go to Harvard, but the people that work for me did. Sorry. And it's true. You don't need to. I mean, Henry Ford, he also, when he was starting up Ford, he was interrogated by a whole panel of I don't know if it was senators or what it was, but it got to a point where they were asking him about history. And they were asking him about all these other questions, and he stopped right there. He said, "Why do I need to answer these questions when I can just pay somebody to come answer you?" It's true. It's true. You got to understand, your ability to deal with the things you don't know matter more than what you don't know.
It's so true. It's so true. And there's so much more knowledge out there, which is part of the reason I encourage everyone to pick up a book and read. Turn off the TV, because when you understand what you don't know, you begin this cycle of constant growth to figure out, well, why I didn't know this whole world existed. Let me learn more about it. And and it's been said 1% of the U.S. population. I'm going to go on a tangent about reading right now. So 1% of the population, because we're talking about education, 1% of the U.S. population owns a library card, when it was still a thing to go check out a book from a library. And our library has since shut down, I guess, or nobody goes in anywhere anymore, but everything's online. But I still own my library's card just so that I can be that 1%. But I have a voracious appetite for reading, and in order to get to where because people don't read, people don't invest the time in themselves to learn about the things that could further them in life. And like you said, that MIT study where you're the average of the income of $1,000 to $3,000 of the 5 people you hang out with closest. Well, everyone needs a better circle, right? And if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group. You need to be careful who you select into your group, because they're either going to push you forward or they're going to be that dead weight, right? How many of us have that dead weight that's just dragging us down? Yeah. Shed that dead weight. And the only way to do that is to live your potential, and it'll fulfill your passions. So anything else you want to add, John?
No, not really. I mean, I would just say you got to definitely focus on, what it is, the outcome that you want to achieve. If you're looking to be successful in anything, and more than anything, you gotta understand, it's never really a straight line to where you want to go. You're gonna need to pivot. There may be times you need to pivot, maybe times you need to adjust. But the most important thing is never lose sight of that vision and never quit. That's really it.
Thank you so much for pouring into the audience today. And I just want to remind everybody, look out for the links that are above and below, and share on your social media through your networks. I hope you found some value in this podcast today. It's ready, set, live time, guys. Get out there and live your life like you have no tomorrow, because life is short. You're just a moment in time. Stop living like you have 1,000 years to live, because we don't. You see, life isn't found in between the isms and the schisms of life. Okay, it's time for us to quit this analysis, the paralysis of analysis. We overanalyze everything. Make it simple. Jump in to your dreams. Go both feet, all in, all day long, and never quit, like John says. And when you couple your potential with your purpose and you fulfill your passions, the universe will test you at first, but then the universe will open up its doors for you and welcome you along, because it is your moment of greatness that everybody else is waiting for. So, John, thanks again for your time. I'm going to log off. Where do people find you online?
So our marketing agency is Real, spelled like a fishing reel, realmarketingstrategies.com. And our video production site is Real, as in a real, hooking, realhooking.com. You can find us on YouTube, Real Hooking. You can find us on Instagram at Real Hooking. You can find me, Don John 85. That's my personal account if you want to reach out to me. But yeah, that's where you can find our information, and feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, brother. I hope to see you.
Awesome, Rex. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Have a great day. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.